My experience with Move On has given me much too much insight into what happens in the political dynamics in DC and even locally in California. And it's become really clear that the partisanship is making it increasingly hard for us to have good solutions. A collaborative solution is so much better, because you're listening to each other and you care about each other and you want to satisfy each other's needs. And when you have that kind of relationship, you think at a higher level, honestly. Living room conversations are an effort to, from the grassroots up, start expecting respectful engagement, collaborative engagement, the kind of thoughtful working together that we really need to do to deal with the serious issues we have in front of us in this century. The lines between what people on the left and what people on the right believe had become much more impenetrable, and that we have these narratives that touch each other less and less. And so I'm living in one set of facts and my friends on the right are living in another. How can we possibly make good decisions together when we don't even share facts? Our media tends to reflect this very disrespectful way of relating to each other, and too often, I'm afraid, our politics are reflecting that. And when we start treating each other with real respect and care, everything changes and so much more becomes possible. So listening has become something I appreciate, and then I understand better what the obstacles are, and living room conversations are one attempt, and there are many ways to help people connect and work well together. But this is a very granular piece of the puzzle to hopefully bring in people that have stepped away from politics, stepped away from talking to people with different viewpoints, because we have teased our communities apart in a way that if I convince a conservative friend that climate is a huge issue, and they go back to their community and they speak about climate without restraint, they can be shunned. And if you think about it evolutionarily, you're shunned, you die. So there's a lot of social, emotional content to having a very different viewpoint than your community. So we need our communities to start intermixing again and build that trust that has been undermined by the way our media and politics are currently trying to relate to people. I think what we're trying to do is build new muscles, and we don't think of listening as a muscle very often. It sounds like it's passive, but it's not at all. It's the way we first show that we really care about each other. And as we develop this new muscle, we learn things, and our world expands and becomes richer. And we start to really care about an ever-expanding world of individuals and communities. And this is a beautiful thing. Climate has become a particularly difficult issue. In fact, I read the other day that 3 years ago, more Americans believed that climate was a problem than today. And my understanding is that, in fact, the evidence just keeps accumulating. Now, I think this is really strong evidence that, in fact, we have a social problem going on here. And we know from research that as human beings, we hear things that reinforce our beliefs. And I'm afraid that the really tribal differences are causing us to have separate narrative streams. And so my conservative friends really have a sense that we are having a mass hysteria on some levels. And my progressive friends are becoming more and more panicked in some cases because we're not doing what we need to do
to protect the future for our children and our children's children. And the outcome is this very disrespectful way of talking to each other that's increasingly not productive. So one of our opportunities is to talk about energy rather than climate change to start with, and focus on the opportunities we have to work together to have more renewable energy, to be more efficient, because there's a lot of places where we have the ability to work together and the desire to work together. And when it comes to whether you believe in climate or not, it just might not be relevant in those cases. And as we have more relationship, we'll find we're able to talk about the more difficult things in a very respectful fashion. And I like to believe that with that more open-hearted engagement, we will actually find better solutions than either of us alone could imagine. I've got to be honest, I am trying to change the world. This is not and it's not just me, it's this ever-growing list of champions. And what's so fabulous about the intensive is this is an opportunity for a vast, growing group of already very caring people to expand their network and have it be an ever-growing community of people that are ready to be taking care of our country, our world, and having a more open-hearted place that's going to be creating the kind of future we need.